You're watching Nation at 9. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Oli has accused India of plotting his ouster. His party members did not, in fact, hesitate to accuse him of, making sure that the ties between India and Nepal have been spoiled to a great extent. His party co-chair, Prachanda, demanded that Mr. Oli quit. All this was too much for Mr. Oli to take. He was admitted to a heart center after complaining of chest pain also. He has even been missing from the standing committee meetings very recently. In a last-ditch effort, Oli met the president to save his post. The Nepal government today suddenly prorogued the budget session. Oli took this decision during a cabinet meet, and this was, of course, presided at his official residence. 17 of the 18 NCP members demanded Oli's resignation. They said that Oli has failed the nation on each and every account. What does that mean for India? If he has failed and if he's on his way out, has he done the damage? And can that damage be repaired? Can India, in fact, cushion up to Nepal once again? Or does Nepal need to cushion up to India again? Because it's them who have taken this aggressive stance. It's them who have made amendments to their constitution. It is Nepal who has, in fact, raised this problem that India thought did not really exist. And even if it did exist, the relationship of roti and beti can never go sour to such an extent. Let's talk about this with our guests on the panel. Major General Dhruv Katoch, Director of India Foundation, Defense and Strategic Expert, joins us on the panel. Major General Dr. Gigi Dwivedi, Global and Strategic Affairs Expert, also with us on this debate. Professor Madhav Nalapat, Editorial Director for the Sunday Guardian, is also part of this debate. Sumit Peer, Political Analyst, also joins us. Professor Nalapat, your take on KP Sharma Oli. He's been spewing poison against India. But, the surprising part or the relieving part is that none of his party members seem to be agreeing with him. Even if they don't agree with India, the fact of the matter is that he's perhaps on his way out. And there is perhaps little room now between India and Nepal to go back to the way we were. Or do you think that's not possible anymore with China, being sort of permeating the ranks in Nepal very deeply?
Vineet, I'd like to say on the contrary, that the links between India and Nepal are very deep, and it's permeated all across Nepali society. And it's not going to be possible for any country to basically de-link and decouple India and Nepal. And frankly, it is in the interest of Nepal that it have a good relationship with India, not the interest of a handful of people who are essentially loyal to an agenda different from that of the Nepali people, but of the Nepali people. And as I've long said, Prime Minister Oli is not anti-India. He comes to India often enough, and he has asked for a lot of help from India at least 100 times in his life. And I'm sorry to say that we are such people that 99 of those times he has got help, even though from the very beginning of his political career, this man has been totally hostile to India. I want to say he's against the Nepali people. Is he delivering economic development to Nepal? Is he delivering better education and health to Nepal? Is he delivering security to Nepal? On the other hand, he is now embracing, or he's being embraced by the Pakistan army. I mean, the Pakistan army's, favorite, Prime Minister Imran Khan seems to be, anxious to keep talking to him. The reality is that Pakistan is working very actively to basically create a fifth, sixth, and seventh column in Nepal. Part of that will be used against India, but a large part of that is going to be used against the Nepali people. And I think finally this game of Prime Minister Oli has been discovered. I just want to end by saying he gave a solemn promise to Prachanda that he will step down after some time and Prachanda will become the Prime Minister. Of course, he has gone away from that promise. And I simply believe all his party is doing is, Mr. Oli, you promised us that you will step down from Mr. Prachanda. You have become extremely unpopular in Nepal. The time has come for you to step down in the interests of the people of Nepal and frankly in the interests of your own party.
Right, General Katoch. the Prime Minister has always maintained a policy of neighborhood first. But Nepal has often complained that we haven't spoken to them much. Do you think that it's basically a way you look at it? India feels that we have always treated Nepal in a very favorable fashion, like a little brother. Professor Nalapat also reiterated that the ties between India and Nepal go very deep. They cannot be snatched away. They cannot be, in fact, tethered in any which way. But do you think somehow KP Oli's nationalist agenda or his nationalist tendencies, they did blossom towards the end of his possible tenure, and they have somehow created, this fissure between these two countries, which can be fixed but might take some time.
Uh, uh, you see, Vineet, what has really happened is that there, in my view, there has been a political power struggle within Nepal. And it is this political power struggle which is working out. As Professor Nalpat said, he was supposed to step down. Oli was supposed to step down. Prachanda was supposed to come in. Now, let us say this gentleman's agreement was honored in letter and spirit. I don't think you would have seen all this turmoil. So what Mr. Oli was really doing, he ratcheted up this campaign against India. Anytime when they run into problems, you ratchet up this campaign to make India as a bully or to put some accusations against India. And I think the way he has done it this time, some of it, I really don't see how it can be repaired. In your own show where you were there last time, my concern was on the map. Now, once they have actually changed that map and they have gone to Limpi Yadhura, and taken about 360 to 380 odd square kilometers, which never was theirs, you see, how are they going to change that? Because anytime anybody tries to change something like that, again, they will play up the nationalistic card. So there are some of the damages which I think which are going to take very long to resolve. But there are some things like the Citizenship Act. I think that can be repaired very, very easily. And I presume when the next incumbent comes, that will be done. I was also surprised today, actually, that the Pakistani Prime Minister had requested for a telephone conversation with the Prime Minister of Nepal. It was supposed to take place at 12 p.m. I really don't know what happened about that. But that request had come in. Now, why should the Pakistani Prime Minister, at this point of time, want to speak to the Prime Minister of Nepal? So I think there is something very fishy going on. Was that at the behest of China? Because China is interested in keeping Oli there. And I think these are the matters which, as time unravels, we will see as to how the future comes out.
General Dwivedi, there was a blockade in 1989 at the border with Nepal. I presume you remember that. There is also talk that Nepal has never forgiven us. Literally, they haven't forgiven us for what happened in 1989. But the bright side of that blockade was that it resulted in the dismantling of the panchayat system in Nepal, and it also resulted in overthrowing the monarchy and the restoration of democracy. Why doesn't Nepal see that?
Well, Vineet, I think when we look at Nepal, we have to look at two dimensions. One is the internal, what is going on in the party, and second was the external, because external dimension had the influence on the internal dynamics. You see how Pakistan and China has played out. They had actually put some bait to Oli to take a particular stance, and it had the backing of both these countries. And what Professor Nalapat brought out, that the armies are actually playing a major role, because there is a lot of give and take between Pakistan and the Chinese army. And let me tell you that Chinese are buying out peace, because in Xinjiang they are buying out peace by keeping the people like Sayyid, Hafiz Sayyid, and Maulana Masood in good humor. Now, this was actually the built up around Oli, and now the internal dimension, yes, they would have had some kind of a political understanding, that power sharing, and that always goes on among the political parties. Now, you asked me a very particular question as to how India influenced Nepalese internal dimension in 1990. Well, I would say that, frankly speaking, well, it might have had a certain amount of positive fallout, but that blockade was not in larger interest, because nations or people forget, they only remember the negativities. They forget all the positive things you do. So one negative thing can actually nullify all the other positive things. Now, where do we go from here? That's very important. I think if the political change takes place within the party, well, it is the internal dimension, but we have to deal with whosoever comes in the power. Now, that is very important, and for that, we have to have a three-dimensional policy. First and foremost, keep our contact and trust with people, because people are the most important element in the whole game. In the people, the young people of Nepal, they have aspirations, they have certain amount of, I would say their own nationalism, so that must be addressed. Second is our economic front, because Chinese have been able to boom Nepal basically by throwing a lot of crumbs. We need to have, the very, I would say favorable relationship economically. And third very point is, I think our relationship needs a little reset, because reset in the larger South Asia context, reset when we stop talking about the younger brother, elder brother, we treat Nepal as an equal neighbor and also meet the aspiration. In one very important point is, we need to dilute the influence of China and Pakistan in Nepal.
Sumit, we also have to operationalize the Kailash Mansarovar route with Nepal. Do you think with the kind of friction, if I can use that word, and for the lack of a better word, that we have with Nepal right now, it will dissipate in the future? That particular Kailash Mansarovar route will find itself stalled?
Vineet, when you look at Nepal, personally, since 2004 and lately up to 2015, I have been numerous times to Nepal and more than 27 times to China. So when it comes to these two countries, because I personally travel there, every quarter almost I was going. So when you talk to the people of Nepal, that respect and dignity for India is there. They might be a heartburn here and there, but moreover, they understand their inclination and future is with India. Unfortunately, what has happened, I'll maintain my old stand, what I've been maintaining on your show and news for quite some time now. We have to handle Nepal vis-a-vis people of Nepal and government of Nepal. People of Nepal, we have the connect, we have to maintain that connect, and we have to extend that olive branch to them. The problem is that PLA and CCP is trying to move KP Ole away from India, and there are some talks in the social media of all underhand techniques which Chinese use, it's not worth mentioning on the national TV. Everybody can Google and find, which have been also used in the case of KPOP. So there are these, so there is money, there are a lot of factors which you can use in a political scenario, and Chinese can use anything. So now with this Mr. KP Oli, to have his political sustainability in Nepal system, is playing this, nationalistic card and all that. But the fact is that he's personally benefiting from the association of with China, but he is betraying the people of Nepal. The most important, he's betraying India, he's betraying his own party, he's betraying the people of Nepal. The very important question is, whom is he helping with? He's only helping Chinese and their designs, where China wants to create, orchestrate, innovate, and invent problem solves in the Nepal border, where we have centuries of connect. Because Hinduism is a 10,000 old religion, and that connect is 10,000 year old. So they want to kind of disturb that, and they want to throw this raw power. And let's not forget, we need ISI is there. Right, ISI has to establish setup in Nepal. So comes the Chinese money. So with ISI network, Chinese money, and they have a proven model. You see hijacking 814, you see Indian Mujahideen getting funded. So there's a working setup which ISI has built. So with that two coupling, it has become a dangerous cocktail. It has become a national security threat for us. What is most important, Vineet, now is what I've been maintaining is, can we show an economic sustainable model of economic development and growth to the people of Nepal for next 50 years? Can we at least give them a roadmap? Can we at least assure them, look, you are going to be with us. We aspire to be a 10 trillion economy, more than that under the PMT. So this is what you're going to get. This is how you will grow with India. That is the only need of the hour. Plug those, perception gaps, and let us, and what you're brilliantly doing, and what News is brilliantly doing, and we need especially you're educating the people of Nepal. Please don't be Tibet Part 2, don't be Balochistan Part 2. And I hate to bring it up. Which pains my heart is that when you see Chinese forcibly start marrying their guys with the local girls and try to re-engineer their DNA, which they are doing very brilliantly in Pakistan. We don't want that to happen in Nepal. And I think our brothers and sisters in Nepal are smart enough to understand that. Because when it comes to Uyghurs, you were doing a program yesterday on Uyghurs. PLA soldiers wedding Uyghur women, what is that? Now you're trying to change the DNA of a community. That is I don't know. I am falling short of words, Vineet. I don't know what English word is for that because nobody ever has done that, what China is doing. So it is very important that people of Nepal understand, and we have to keep on doing the awareness for them and show them your future is with us. Let's forget Oli. Oli aayega, koi aur jayega, yaar. It's not important. It's not
Right,
important.
right.
They are with us.
Absolutely, they are with us. But Professor Nalapa, just for the sake of argument, and perhaps you can even call it curiosity on my part, do you think that when Xi Jinping visited Nepal in October 2019 on his way back from Mahabalipuram, it kind of, or you should have raised some sort of a red flag for us pertaining to Nepal?
Well, I'd like to say that he had basically come for a repeat of the Wuhan meeting, and the fact that he stopped over in a third country on the way back to China, frankly, a lot of the shine of that particular meeting was removed by that visit to Nepal. I think, obviously the Chinese side would have understood that, and they would have nevertheless gone ahead for some reason. I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm not going to talk about DNA and marriage and all that because these are issues, frankly, which I really don't know anything about. But I do want to say one thing very clearly: possession is not 9/10 of international law as implemented. It is the international law, and possession is. And so far as these territories, which are now being put by Mr. Oli on the map of Nepal, with the unanimous consent of Parliament, well, very frankly, so long as that particular territory is firmly in the control of India, so long as nobody comes up and says, oh my gosh, we should, in the interest of good relations with Nepal, hand over that territory. I mean, frankly, this has happened in the past, right from Kashmir and right from other locations in India. Oh, well, in the interest of good harmony, let's hand over this bit, this slice. Well, I hope that never happens. But so long as we have that territory, frankly, I'm not very concerned about a flag or I'm not very concerned about a map. These are meaningless. The Chinese have got maps which show a large part of India's Chinese territory. So long as our military is there, I'm not concerned. So far as the border clash is concerned, so long as the Chinese have not managed to occupy any land that they did not occupy prior to May 4, I'm not concerned. The question is, do we control the land? And it's important to understand that we have to concentrate on that. Having said that, I again want to repeat, the Nepali people and the Indian people are organically linked to each other in a way which is unbreakable. And I can only say that I am very optimistic that should this gentleman go, because it's very clear, he is not following the agenda of his party, he is not following the agenda of the people of Nepal, he is following the agenda of a superpower that is keeping him in power. And I'm sure a lot of, despite the fact that it is very late in Beijing, there must be even now people working hard on trying to see if Prime Minister Oli somehow continues in office in some form or the other. So frankly, I'd like to say, Vineet, I am optimistic about long-term relations. And I would only like to say, I agree completely this 1989 blockade was a mistake. It followed a 1988 earthquake, a very severe earthquake. And frankly, it created a very bad impression. And it created a tremendous amount of problem for the image of India in Nepal. That was definitely a mistake. And I would only like to say, for whatever Mr. Oli is doing, let's not punish the people of Nepal.
Absolutely. That's exactly what the sentiment in India is as well. But General Katoch, KP Oli has been saying for the longest time that India released a political map in November 2019, and ever since then they had made tons of official requests through diplomatic channels to sort out a border dispute. And he categorically said that this negotiation was for 35 kilometers, but because of us looking the other way, it's a negotiation for 335 kilometers. Now, that is not a stance that a prime minister can take, because this is acting in silos. This is not looking at the broader structure or the broader bonhomie between these two countries.
You see, the stance which was taken by Prime Minister Oli, I think, was totally untenable. Now, while I agree with Professor Nalpat when he says, you've already got, that land is ours, it's in our possession, nobody can take it away. We know that. So the question, I mean, leave aside that, Nepal has got no access to that land. There is no road access either to Lipu Lake, where we have got where the road is going for the yatra, right? They've got no linkage to even to the Tri Junction. So the question of their going there doesn't arise. The question is, every time they want to whip up tensions, there's a political party which can do it. That is something which they can do. But I think on the larger issue, we need to be very careful. At the political and the diplomatic level, I presume those talks will go on. And we have, as has been repeatedly stated, excellent relations at the people-to-people level. But you see, simply saying we have got excellent relations is not enough. Now, I think that to a very large extent, what Sumit said actually earlier, you've got to shape the information environment. And shaping that information environment requires that the people of Nepal come to know of the nefarious designs of what the Communist Party of China is doing and what the Islamic State of Pakistan is doing. You see, now that has to be hammered home by the people of India to the people of Nepal. Make it very, very open, very, very transparent. And that will change the narrative. Now, otherwise, at some point of time, when you keep doing these political things, something goes wrong in Nepal, Vancha wants to stick around a little extra in power, he will say, oh, we'll get our land back. Those are the petty issues which they will carry on, which everybody knows is not going to happen. But it is something which they would like to rake up. I really don't see how that is going to get resolved, but the other issues I'm quite certain we can take up. But I think we need to get onto this shaping of the information environment, this perception management, and this is something which requires a great deal of effort. I hope we get onto this sooner, if not later.
Right. Sumit, do you think that it's time for Neighborhood First 2.0 now at the government's behest? And do you think that we'll also have to unwillingly factor in China as a constant in this new regional diplomatic equation with Nepal?
Give me 60 seconds to answer that. You see, we need
Take 61.
There are three kinds of countries: hostile, neutral, and enemy. So before June of 15, you could see China as a neutral country. But after June 15, it has moved to the hostile category. That is a new change fact of life. In the immediate, short-term, long-term, China is a threat. We have to acknowledge it. After 15 has changed every equation, paradigm, and all kind of theories and hypotheses of our relation. So it's a new reality of life, which is just 15 years old as we talk. So factoring in China in every side is something which we have to do. If we don't do it, we are deceiving ourselves. We know the string of pearls I just described in my previous debate with you, how they are beautifully enacting it and how they are now using terrorism even to go and do their designs to get the designs working. So as far as Nepal goes, yes, we can leverage a lot in Nepal because we have strong people-to-people connect. But China is something factor which we have to factor in on this. Vineet, I have just one important point to make it just a little bit out of the context. See the Pakistan and Chinese, how well versed they are. What are 14 Chinese jets doing in Askardu airport in POK? And they have been, as per the media reports, they have been lying there since May of 2 mahine pehle se, since the May of this year. So that means if you look at China, you cannot see anything what the eye sees. We need, there are 4 or 5 layers beyond that. So trusting Chinese will be shooting yourself in the foot. There is no way you can trust China. And what the Honorable Prime Minister did yesterday was a digital surgical strike. And this is what is going to be the new normal with India. Because, we have to protect ourselves. We have 1.3 billion people. And we are not a pushover. And if you think by building trust, what some of the earlier dispensations said, "Aap sadak nahi banaoge, China yahan nahi aayega. I love Beijing more than India. I want to live in Beijing." Those things will not change Beijing. Beijing will do what it has to do. We have to factor that in. And let me tell you, Pakistan is a nuisance, but Beijing is a threat, in my opinion.
Right. Bimal Dwivedi, is it about time that we revisit our equation and our balance in all spectrums with Nepal? And do we treat them once again like a prodigal son who perhaps is going to come back sooner than later and embrace the cultural, the social, and the porous border friendship and the love that we have had with them for not decades but centuries?
Firstly, I think you raised a very important issue when you said you have a curiosity of the visit of Xi Jinping. On 11th October, he was in India and 12th, he was in Nepal. Well, that gave a very strong message. That gave a message that Nepal, in eyes of China, is almost at par with India, and that was the quid pro quo that we should take in a very strong message. First point. Secondly, China as a factor is both in the region and also across the globe. We need to look at China very closely. A nation which captured our territory, went to war with us, and I was in China as reference attached in 1998 when we nuclear tested, and George Fernandez, our defense minister, had said categorically that we see China as a threat. Well, that is the reality. I don't know how we can say that China is neutral country or China is not adversary. I think China is our competitor, confrontist, and finally, I think I would just talk about the Nepal. I think we need to reset our relations with Nepal in all dimensions, and very much we can bring it on track provided we have a long-term policy and we have to deliver on the ground. Actions must speak for words rather than words speaking for action.
Absolutely, that was well articulated. We need to just talk with Nepal. I think that is what's been missing. Even when two friends have a fight, they talk first before they embrace, and that is exactly what is needed between India and Nepal. All the other problems, all the other issues can be ironed out, and if they're China and Pakistan, they can be ironed out very, very easily. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of this very good debate.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.